You're watching and listening to another ScoutCast on www.fantasyfootballscout.co.uk, and my name is Mark.
And my name's Jonty.
My name's Andy.
And my name's Luke, or Disabled.
Good evening, gentlemen. It's a Thursday night. It's an unfamiliar night for the ScoutCast, but it's been the most bizarre game week, probably in the history of FPL. We've just finished game week 34. It's been an extraordinary game week. It's kind of delivered in many ways that we expected, in many ways that we didn't expect. It's let us down in many ways, but let's just start by saying, let's do a quick straw poll. Are we happy about game week 34? John, to you first. Quick answer. Of course you are.
Yes.
Definitely.
Oh, yes.
Instant
Andy
yes.
as well. Luke, you happy about game week 34?
Yes.
So there you go. That's the main thing. I mean, we're going to go into it in a lot of detail. We've got a lot of questions in the community on it. We were looking forward to this game week for many episodes of the ScoutCast. We were anticipating it was going to be a turning point in the season. Perhaps it has been. Certainly the mini-league ranks and the overall ranks have been kind of very volatile as a result of what's happened. Tonight we saw it come to a conclusion. We saw more points for Sanchez, and some of the scores that we're seeing coming through are big, as big as we expected. But it's been a strange one, and I don't know if we got lessons to learn. We got questions on that. We got questions on what went wrong, what went right, and we're going to analyse it. But most of all, it seems at the end of game week 34, us four at least happy, and hopefully there's a lot of people on the site happy as well that it didn't go too badly. We're going to look at our game weeks in full. Then we're going to go through what went right for each of us, what went wrong, and then we're going to look at the questions that we've got from the community, not only on game week 34 but also on game week 37. There's another double game week. We just can't get enough of them, and perhaps we can. Questions on game week 37, I believe, and then we've got the weekend preview as well, because we've got a small matter of a kind of curtailed game week 35 to deal with. Only 7 fixtures in that, so plenty to talk about there as well. Let's talk about our game weeks first of all, though. I'll come to you first, John T. You've got to be pleased. You said you're happy. Tell us why, basically.
Well, it looks like if Bellerin keeps his bonus point, and I'm sure Sanchez will, that I'll finish on 171, which is great. I took an 8-point hit, so technically it's 163. But it worked out, that's about 46. I think it's about 46-47 above the average for the top 10,000. So that's the key that I wanted. I wanted to beat that lot. So I went into today up to 11,000, so just 1,000 away from the top 10,000. And I think from tonight, with Sanchez being captain and having Bellerin as well, I think I'm in the top 10,000 for the first time this season.
What was your rank climb as a result of game week 34? You think? What were you before?
I'd gone down to 22,000. And then this is the key thing, during the game week, why was I happy with it? Well, I'm happy with it because I got a good score at the end of it. But I'm also happy with it because of the absolute roller coaster. We had matches every night this week. And so one day it was like, wow, look at all these points I'm getting. And then the next day it was like, oh my God, look at all these points everyone else is getting from Dele Alli and Harry Kane, who I don't have. And then the next day, wow, look at all these points my Liverpool players are getting. And then it just goes on like that, up, down, up, down. So during the week, I've gone from 13,000 to 16,000, 22,000, and last night 11,000. I'm fairly certain I must be in the top 10,000 now. So yeah, I'm really pleased with it. It's exciting, and I've done well. But so many other people have as well. And we talked about this, and we were telling people, get planning, get your bench boosts out, get your triple captain. So those that triple captain Aguero, those that triple captain Sanchez, wow, huge scores they've got. My bench boost was okay in the end. I think I got about 16. If I'm being honest about who I would have benched, I could lie and say I would have put Saka on the bench, and I could have upped it up to about 30. But I'm not going to. I'd say 16. It's not bad, but it's quite respectable. But there are others, like for example you, Mark. You got Townsend in. Who was genuinely on your bench. Probably would have been on your bench. You got
maybe it's difficult, isn't it, to say that? I mean, my lowest score was 1 point, which was Scott Down, which is disappointing. I expected him to play 2 matches. Yeah, I think my bench would have been around less than 20, maybe just over. So yeah, it's very difficult. But I think you touched on it. I mean, we all kind of really enjoyed the experience of Game Week 34. I think having those matches one after another, day after day, it was kind of like a preview of what's going to come next season with matches being on a Friday night. You know, we're going to have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday next season. And when a midweeks are to follow that, we're going to have football for 6-7 days. It's tiring, but it's enjoyable because you're scoring points every night, and like you say, your rank changes every night. And yeah, it was good. I really enjoyed Gameweek 34. There were ups and downs, and the Tottenham Stoke game was definitely a downer. But we come out of that, and at the end of it, I think a lot of people will be smiling. A lot of people will be relieved that it's over, but also quite pleased with the outcome. Andy, I mean, are you in that camp? You scored better than any of us, didn't you?
Yeah, I think I'm going to be on 169 once the bonus points, or 170, but I only took a 4-point hit, so coming out 165 at least. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. It's probably a bit more than I was expecting. Mini league wise, I've gone from like 10 points ahead in one to 70 odd points ahead now, so that's kind of wrapped it up, I think, at this point, even without having the Spurs players. So yeah, it was really good. I mean, I captained Sanchez just behind Aguero. The only kind of things that went wrong, I suppose, my bench boost is probably. So I tweeted Jonty just before the game week started to say who I would have benched, and that only came out at 16. So that didn't really net me too many points. But yeah, Delaney, who I knew was kind of deadwood anyway, got 1 point. Mitrovic didn't start either game, which was a bit annoying, especially how well he seemed to play. And obviously, as we know, the Liverpool boys missing 1 game, but they kind of made up for it last night. So yeah, really good week, and happy I played it as I did.
So what was your overall rank climb? Did it have a decent impact on that?
Yeah, so I've gone from 254k to 138. So hopefully, hopefully that'll be inside the top 100k, and I'll be able to better my worst ever rank. So yeah,
I mean, this is what we wanted, wasn't it? We wanted to see a big green arrow out of this, and that was the aim. And we can look back at what went wrong and what could have gone better for us, but at the end of the day, I think we're all going to have a decent green arrow out of it, and that's really all we really wish for. And for Jonty to start nudging to the top 10k, which is something 5 or 6 weeks ago you didn't think you'd make, but now that looks, signed and sealed at the moment if you can keep up the form.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was around Christmas. I was, it was about 400,000th, and it just kept steadily getting those green arrows. But thanks to those Spurs players that I ditched, and then when we talk about what went wrong, right, and lessons learned, that's a key one. Really, is perhaps is a double. We were thinking, is it actually a double game week? When we were looking at those team sheets from Liverpool, where these players on there that even Klopp had never heard of, let alone us. And let alone Liverpool fans. Who were these people? Suddenly these children were coming out where Coutinho was meant to be, and that was happening, and that was a real. So I mean, I worked out. I had 14 double game weekers, but I didn't. I only had 7 who played twice, and I had 1 who didn't play. Well, who was 2 subs. Mitrovic, who didn't start either, but he came on for a few points. So I mean, that's pretty bad. It was the double game week that never was. But then it's pointed out to me that you get these players in because maybe they'll miss that game, but then they'll play the next one. And to be honest, I think there was a bit of luck played. For example, Sacco, my Liverpool defender of choice. I could have got Moreno, I could have got Lovren, Sacco. There wasn't really too much between them all. I just went for Sacco because I thought, I don't know, why not? I seem to be a better player, better footballer, which isn't a good fantasy reason, but it seemed to, he scored that goal. Now I lucked out there, and Firmino scored for me, Coutinho. So suddenly Liverpool were looking like, they were the gold standard of the double game week, and then they let us down all these, and then suddenly they actually were. I mean, and people got Sturridge in, well done to them, and people got Andy Carroll in, well done to them.
Yeah, I mean, this is what was. I mean, we look back on what went wrong, but I don't think there's any doubt that if you got the right players, the bench boost would have worked for you. There are players out there that Gomez and Andy Carroll, who not many people got. People like even Creswell, who scored the goal at Leicester. There are players that we all looked at for this double game week bench boost scenario, and we didn't necessarily go for the right ones. But if you did, and there were people out there who did, I'm sure, then the bench boost worked for them. There's no doubt about it. And for us, I still think it did the trick. It still put a smile on our face, and it still gave us a green arrow. Luke, how did it go for you?
Yeah, considering I didn't have Sanchez at all in my team and I didn't captain Aguero, still fairly good. I think I got 131, so it's about 40 points less than you guys. But considering those 2 factors, I think that's still pretty good.
So hold on, where'd the armband go?
On Lauren Koscielny. I said last week it would go on some random person. It went on Koscielny. So Yeah, the irony of it, because Bolassi's the one who ends the clean sheet originally, who was my triple captain the week before when he did nothing.
Yeah.
So then he destroys my captain this week. But
I thought of you in that goal on him.
Exactly. And I had Gabriel as well, so I could have had almost a triple clean sheet there potentially. But yeah, Balassi, we got the 10 points this week, so I've got to let him off. But that was another unfortunate one. He didn't feature for the second one, did he? So, like Joe, Sacco was probably my hero with 15. Aguero 26, everyone's got him. Coutinho popped up from nowhere. Again, just a bit of bad luck, really, I think, overall. But like Nasri as well as another one didn't play. Rojo, but I knew that it was, the potential was there.
Yeah, I mean, I think overall, I look at it and think everything was fine. Everything we're happy with the totals that we got. It could have gone better. And there at times, certainly when I was watching that Tottenham game at Stoke, it was painful. I was sitting there thinking that this could now unfold to be a disaster. It hasn't worked out like that because Liverpool did the trick against Everton. Arsenal did well tonight. Slowly the points came dribbling in, and slowly it seemed like the wild card and the bench boost hasn't worked out too badly. There are things we've done wrong, though, and there are some villains out there that I think had they conspired better. You've mentioned Liverpool and the fact that Klopp rotated. That's definitely one. We didn't foresee that. At the time we played the wild card and we were preparing the bench boost, we weren't sure that Liverpool were going to progress in the Europa League and that they would end up in that situation where they would be resting players. We couldn't see that. It was a possibility, but we didn't really foresee it. And then Lukaku, what about him, John T? I mean, Lukaku is got to be the biggest villain of all because in many ways we played the wild card in game week 33. We were pushed into that because of Everton's double game weeks. So we were like, well, okay, let's play it in 33 because we can get Everton's double game weeks, we can get Lukaku, put the captaincy on him, and then we can also play the wildcard in that week to prepare us for 34. Lukaku let us down on both times. He only played 3 of the 4 matches. Absolutely dreadful. Everton just fell apart against Liverpool, and they're in bits at the moment. And Lukaku trolled us in ways that we just didn't expect, didn't he?
Well, yeah, we're going to come to it a little bit later because there's some questions on Everton because, of course, they've got a double game week 37, so we're going to go through all again with Lukaku. And so I've dug out some stats about Everton and Lukaku in particular. So yes, stay tuned to that. But also Lukaku going into double game week. Well, pretty much any week you go right. He might be captain. But I was so down on him that I just thought, no, he's not. I'm just going to get rid of him. I didn't think he was going to start that first game, and he didn't. So I got Mitrovic in for a hit. Now it didn't. It kind of worked out, kind of didn't. Mitrovic hasn't started either, but he looks so dangerous both times. He got an assist, and he didn't get an FPL, a fantasy assist for one of the goals, but he pretty much made it. And he's looked great, and playing for a Newcastle side that's looking really good at the moment. So I'm kind of okay with that. I'd prefer to have got Andy Carroll in or something, but I'm okay with that. But Lukaku, no. We'll come to it later. He's going nowhere near my team for the rest of the season.
And Andy, I mean, presumably you watched the Spurs game on Monday. Were you watching that thinking, getting rid of Ali, getting rid of Kane, getting rid of Alderweireld, those were big mistakes?
Yeah, obviously you can't look at it any other way. We got rid of the players, like we said a few weeks ago, that were second in the league and doing really well, and we knew it could come back to bite us. I just had to laugh that it happened the way it did. That they both scored a brace each. I expected them to score points, but maybe not that well. So yeah, it was annoying, but like with double game week every time, there's always hope that the players you got coming are going to do the business, and they did. And obviously, I'd rather have the Spurs ones because going forward they do look really good. But I'd probably make the same decision every single time. So yeah, it was annoying to watch, but not that bad in the end.
No, and I think I saw lots of people post on the site going, "Well, you got rid of good players in Kane and Ali and Alderweireld. What did you expect?" Fair enough to a point, but I do think it's a little bit kind of uncharitable to say that we should have expected that Spurs would beat Man United 3-0 one week and then go to Stoke, who hadn't lost a top 5 side all season, and win 4-0. I didn't expect that. I just didn't. Ali got his biggest haul of the season. The week before that, Alderweireld got his biggest haul of the season. They punished us, really did. I mean, Spurs just look incredible at the moment, but they've clicked at the time when we were kind of not forced to get rid of their players, but there was that attraction towards the double game weekers for the bench boost, and that drove us, a lot of people, to get rid of those players. And Kane was one we were going to cling to, but in the end it was kind of Ali and Alderweireld, who I didn't really hesitate to get rid of. And to be honest, when I look at Ali, I think even if I'd have kept him as a single game week player, I may not have even played him. He may have been on my bench, and unless I was playing the bench boost, I wouldn't have got his points. I've benched him a lot of times this season and missed some points. So I don't know, Jonty. I'm kind of philosophical about that when I watched the game on Monday. I think Alderweireld I was upset about. Kane was kind of inevitable. 2 goals over 2 matches. I kind of expected that. But Ali's double it hurt a bit, but I kind of felt that perhaps I would have missed out anyway.
I think one of the key things about the Ali and Kane was there were a lot of people who kept them and were very, very pleased, very smug, understandably, and quite rightly so about it. But all of us who got rid of them, it wasn't like it was suddenly a revelation. Oh no, what have I done? We all knew that they were capable of that. We all knew that could happen. But we wanted to take a risk on getting a player that played twice, because in all our experience of playing fantasy football, if a player playing twice, the chances are they're going to get more points. In some cases, they did. So, I mean, in a roundabout way, say, getting rid of Kane allowed me to get Firmino and Coutinho in. So Firmino got 14 points. So I only got 16. I mean, looking at it with hindsight, if I went through that again, because of Kane's price, I still wouldn't have kept him, because I wouldn't have kept a single game week player who was 10 million plus when there was all these other players with the potential to score absolutely huge. But Ali, I think, going back on it, in terms of a lesson, I mean, one of our community, Hackchack, asked, what lessons have you learned? My key lesson that I've learned is not just being about getting rid of form players, because if they're, I'd probably do the same again with some of them, but form players who are great value. Now, Ali, I think I'd probably, that type of player this time next season, I'll probably keep, actually. Because it doesn't cost me, it doesn't ruin the double game week side. And I did keep one single game week. I had Simpson. I got Simpson in for Fuchs, and that actually ended up, it got me a clean sheet the week before, and a couple of bonus as well. So I did have that in mind, but I should have gone a little bit further. I think just one more, and I think Ali should have been the one. I wouldn't have kept Vardy, I wouldn't have kept Mahrez, and I wouldn't have kept Kane for price. So I'm not going to pretend that I would have, but Ali, hindsight and a lesson learned there, I think.
Yeah, and then with Kane, we talked about it, and we were never going to give the armband to Kane in Game Week 34 because he only had the one fixture, and there was the Aguero-Sanchez option. So we were more comfortable getting rid of Kane because we knew that even those who kept him wouldn't get double points from his haul if he got it, and he did get the points, but I doubt many armbands were on him. I think everyone either backed Sanchez or Aguero, which turned out to be the right choice. So Kane wasn't the one who punished us, but I think you're right. I think Ali, we just didn't see it. I just didn't see Spurs winning 4-0 at Stoke. I just couldn't see it. I saw them beating United maybe 1-0 and winning at Stoke 1-0 or 2-1 or 2-0, but to actually beat them both and score 7 goals was, you know, it came out of nowhere, to be honest. So they were in good form, but they have really taken it up a gear, and you know they may well win the title the way they're going. But in a way, I said this off air, I think that in a way it's not a bad thing, because we look back on it now and we talk about lessons learned, and there are lessons to be learned, and there are things that we're going to take in next season when we're in this scenario with the chips, and we're not going to be as certain as we were. Well, there's no doubt about it. We were quite ballsy about it. We were like, well, Game Week 34, it's a no-brainer. You play your wild card, you bench boost, and it's going to be amazing. And to an extent, it's gone okay. It's gone well. We're all happy, but at the end of it, we're still not absolutely sure we've done the right thing, or that if we do it next year, we're going to do it slightly differently. And that is probably the best outcome of all, because had it gone just incredibly, amazingly well, and you know, Spurs hadn't have done what they've done, and people who held on to Kane and Ali and Alderweireld got punished, it would have been too straightforward next season. We'd have sat here at the start of the season, gone with chips. That's easy. Double game week. Look at last season. It's a no-brainer again. That's not going to be the case now. I'm going to be looking at it week on week and thinking, well, maybe the triple captain or the bench boost is an option outside of double game week. I'm not going to be 100% about it. Whereas, you know, it could have been just an easy path, and it could have been that's it, decided, and the chips are just done and dusted every year from this point on. I don't think it went as well. I don't think we can 100% say we're going to save them for double games every season. You know, there's so many variables. Rotation was the main thing that stung us this year, And if the double game weeks come late again, we will have to deal with that again. And this next time round, we'll be more cautious, like you say. So it's given us something to think about, which is the best outcome, I think. Andy, what do you think about your approach next year? I mean, I think you've said on the boards that we'll do it all over again, but do you think we're going to be a bit more cautious as well?
I mean, we probably will once, if we start thinking about this season, but you just don't know how it's going to fall next season. If Liverpool got knocked out, they probably wouldn't have rotated as much. We could have been quids in. So I don't want to say I've learnt nothing, but I know I'll jump head first in next year if the same thing happens again. And, and I'll be happy to do so. You just have to, I suppose, take into account what's happening next season. I definitely wrote off Liverpool's chances of qualifying in the Europa League. I really thought they were going to go out, so that kind of hit me. You told me about De Bruyne, and then he got rested. He's played, but he might get rested again. So, yeah, I probably didn't take rotation into account. As Spurs, I knew, like you just said, I knew that was going to probably bite me. But yeah, as rotation, I think that I didn't consider enough. Next year, I'll do it all again, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the scenario in the double game as well, with the FA Cup semi-finals, Liverpool, Man City in Europe, that did kind of add to the rotation threat, and it did hurt us. But yeah, next year could be very different. We may not get these two. The other thing was the 2 blocks of double game weeks.
They're huge.
We wildcarded in 33 because we were not only planning for 34, we were looking at 37, and we had Everton with their double game week 33. We had Everton again in 34. We were looking forward to Liverpool in 37, and we still are. We had the blank in 35. It just seemed obvious to wildcard there and bench boost in 34. That scenario is unlikely to happen next year. But I still think, I think we'll be probably wanting to save the double game weeks, but I think it's not a foregone conclusion. And also, there are things we'll take into next season that we've learnt this season. And I think, like Jonty was saying, getting rid of players that are low in value but deliver good points for that value, like Ali, like Mahrez. That was something. That's a lesson we've learned, definitely. Luke, I guess you will do everything again, including captaining Yannick Bolasie. Is that correct?
You had to take that dig, didn't you? Okay, it's in isolation. It's already been said, isn't it? You got to look at each thing in isolation. And on this particular occasion, the bench boost double game week combo, we kind of matched people who have not done it overall. I would have said, I think scores is not that, there is quite a variation of scores, but overall, in the end, after all the days, we're fairly close to each other in most accounts, I think, around the same sort of ballpark, and that's essentially because the single game week players did well, and obviously we had a lot of rotation. So if you imagine the next time in isolation there isn't that much rotation, and the single game week players don't do well, that combo is going to be massive. That combo is going to, explode that difference by 100 points plus, you would have thought.
Yeah, so we still have that theory, but I guarantee that next season there'll be those who go, oh, remember last season, you can't take it for granted, this could happen. So it's great because there's still going to be that healthy debate. It's not cut and dry, and that's exactly. I think the best outcome ever. I think there's a lot of people happy whether they played bench boost, whether they played Triple C, or whether they just stuck with Kane, Ali, and Alderweireld. I think a lot of people have got something to cling to from Game Week 34. It's made it's been a roller coaster. It's been enjoyable. But it hasn't been so cut and dry that we think we've made up our mind for next season already. So that's good. I think it's great.
A lot of the big players scored points ultimately, didn't they? A lot of the well-owned players that everyone knows will do well scored points, and that's the main reason why so many people have done so many, so well in so many different ways. And the only thing I've really learned, I think, is never not captain Aguero.
Yeah. Well, yeah. To be fair, we didn't look at. I didn't even consider Aguero, to be honest, Jonty. Andy, did you even figure that? We just went Sanchez. We were in the ScoutCast. We were just like, it's hardly worth talking about the captain. Yeah. We just went Sanchez, didn't we? Well,
I remember we were obviously we've been chatting about double game weeks for weeks now, and I remember you mentioning that is Chelsea Newcastle that good? And I said it doesn't matter. It's Aguero. I don't think I've ever had the chance to captain him in a double game week. But when it came round to it, I didn't even consider him. It was just Sanchez. And obviously, in hindsight, in hindsight now, it doesn't really matter. It's 1 point. But yeah, I never even considered him. So when that hat trick went in, I kind of thought, what were you thinking? Why didn't you even at least give him a chance? I would have probably gone Sanchez anyway. But yeah, I just didn't think about it at all. I don't know about Jonty and Luke.
No, I immediately saw Sanchez. It was partly because Man City, up until the last couple of weeks, their away form had been pretty poor. And of course, they were still in a competition as well. And also with Sanchez, he never gets rotated. If he's fit, he plays. And he was on form as well. In the end, he almost matched Aguero. I think I'm basically. I think I worked it out that if I'd have used my triple captaincy, basically I was looking at like how many points I'd be down really. So if I'd have just simply captained Aguero rather than Sanchez, well, I'd be like about 9 points better off. I'd be a little bit more. So if you start thinking, would you triple captain them comparing to bench boost? So my bench boost was 16. So what did Aguero get if it was just a singular one? It was 26, was it?
Yeah, 26.
So 26 points. So basically, I got 16 from my bench boost. I would have got 26 if I'd have, if I'd have if I got more there and like triple captains. And so the margins are quite small actually. So as Mark was saying, if you bench boosted, you probably did quite well. If you triple captained, you probably did quite well. And if you just captain one of Aguero or Sanchez, or even Firmino, or even one of these ones that got about 14, 15, you're still pretty going to end up pretty happy because it was so many big scorers this week. And I think we all lucked out. I think everyone lucked out because there were so many big scorers.
I think the Fantasy Premier would be delighted the way it went because, like I say, they would see the chips as something that's retained interest. The traffic on our site was really strong, lots of discussion. It's kept us amused for 3 or 4 ScoutCasts. I think the overall outcome of the chips in this period of the season, it's been great. And we'll have it again next year, and there'll be plenty of debate because, like I say, none of us can come out of this and go, that was definitely the right or wrong answer, I don't think. Let's talk about the triple captain as well because, some people did do that. But there was so little difference. And we've always, I think I'm right in saying we've all still got the triple captain up our sleeve, have we not?
Yeah.
Apart from me.
Right, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the thing for me is the reason why I played bench boost this week is because I have to play the bench boost, and that's something that a lot of people haven't really kind of latched onto because unless you go, well, I'm not going to bother playing it, you have to choose a game week to play it. And why Game Week 34 looked the obvious one was because it had the most teams playing 2 fixtures. And the one thing about playing the bench boost in a game week where there's teams playing twice is you're almost guaranteed that all of your players are going to play at least once. And in a normal game week, where teams only play once, there's every chance that out of your 15, 2 or 3 might not play or might get benched. And therefore, suddenly your bench boost, where you're meant to have 15 players playing, you might only have 12 or 13. In the scenario that Game Week 34 gave us, even though I only had 8 players who played 2 matches, all of my players got me points, and okay, Mitrovic was benched in both games, but he still got me 5 points. So in a way, it was the best week to play it because it was the best week in terms of guaranteeing that at least you'll get 1 match out of every single player in that 15. There hasn't been a game week like that so far. You can look at 37 and say, well, that could do it, but then 37 has only got 8 teams who play twice, not 10. And also we've spoken previously about the motivation of it. So I still stand by the fact that where you're playing your bench boost, double game weeks have got to be the main thing you target because of the likelihood you'll definitely get 15 players who play at least once. I can't see past that really.
I think the key part of the bench boost and triple captaincy kind of discussion is going to be in Game Week 37 because I think it's undisputable that the bench boost and the triple captaincy are best used during a double game week. But what's the thing is, have we got the right double game week? And then on reflection, so with hindsight now, looking at Aguero and Sanchez, they were cast iron triple captaincy candidates, and they proved to be. The bench boost worked out, okay, but now I'm looking at double game week 37, and we'll come to this later in the Scoutcast. And I kind of in my head, I hadn't really thought it through, but we don't have Sanchez as a double, and we don't have Aguero. We've got Payet, who's hardly done anything recently. We've got Lukaku. We'll come to him later. He's done even less than nothing.
God, not him again.
So now I'm looking at my triple captaincy, and there's other people now. A player that a fantasy manager we've mentioned and has been on, and hopefully will be on again soon. Andy, who was top of our moderators and contributors league. Now he did something very cunning. He played his triple captain. He wildcarded, played his triple captaincy. He'll be using his bench boost double game week 37. He's already started loading up on Sunderland players. So I couldn't get my head around it. He's far cleverer than I am. But I couldn't work out. Doing game week 33, 34, 35 was tough enough. He has managed to sort out game week 37 as well, enough to think I can play a bench boost there. That's another lesson to learn. Be a bit more clever, and I think he's got it there. And he triple captain Sanchez, win. He's now got a bench boost game week 37. Well, we're going to be captaining. Well, question mark. Who? I can't think of a single person I'm feel happy triple captaining in game week 37. So yeah.
Yeah, but we looked at the fixtures of double game week 37, and we questioned the motivation of the teams taking part. At the time, we didn't know what we know now. We didn't know that the relegation battle was going to go to the wire. We didn't know that the title race was going to go to the wire. A couple of weeks ago, had Leicester beaten West Ham and had Tottenham slipped up against Man United or Stoke, the title race would be almost over now. Leicester beat Swansea, title race is over. So Tottenham are out of it. You look at the teams of Sunderland, for example. We know now for game week 37 they're going to have every motivation to win those 2 home games. 2 weeks ago we didn't. We didn't know they were going to go to Norwich and win 3-0. They did, and they kept it alive, and now it's going to go to the wire. So, yes, in hindsight, you can look at game week 37 now and go, yeah, there are things that actually stack up, look better for the bench boost, but we didn't know that at the time when we were considering the wild card in 33 and the bench boost in 34. So I think one lesson there is we've got to just, I suppose, be more kind of put even more research. Maybe look at it and go, right, okay, what other scenarios? What if this happens and this happens? We were perhaps too presumptuous about the relegation battle and the title race and Liverpool not progressing in Europe, and the FA Cup semi-finals and stuff like that. There was so much to consider. There were so many variables coming into this period that it was difficult to process it all. By the sounds of it, Andy's done a great job, and he's done it all season, and he's made right calls, and let's see if that works out. It means 37 is going to be really interesting, and it means, like I say, at the end of this season, we'll look back at it and go, oh, we could have done that better and that better, and maybe we'll take that into next season. And I think that's only a good thing. I think it's going to be, it's come out really well. Let's see what happens in 37. We're going to look at it in detail later on. Any more questions on the Triple C or bench boost, Jonty?
Well, no, I mean, that's pretty much covered it, really, in terms of, which has won, really. And I think they both won. And I think using them in a double game week is approved. So, there's a Costas counsellor mentioned Hakachak as well. These are just some of the people that have been asking about that. So, I think that's our conclusion there. They do work. They have made the game more interesting, and they have proved that good planning with a double game week and these wild cards and these chips can really pay off. So
I think it proves as well. Though, you can never do as we thought we'd done our research. I mean, I felt a little bit rushed, but I look back and I go, oh yeah, I should have thought of that, and I really should have taken that into consideration. And there was just so much that we did, but it still wasn't enough. And I know that Andy, Balder's article, we felt was the definitive guide to this whole scenario. And he's come in for a bit of stick on the site, hasn't he, out of all this? But, really unfairly, because the research was fantastic. And, no one was pushed into following what he said. But also he caveated so much of that as well. He laid it out, made it very clear that there was risks. But even Balder's research, as I say, as comprehensive as it was, didn't cover everything. There was just so much to consider.
Yeah, I think I was speaking to him as well. I think a lot of the comments were in jest about, you didn't let me keep Kane and stuff like that. But he kept Kane, so he wrote all that, put a disclaimer at the end that, other stuff could happen. He kept Kane, and he thought that was the right decision. And, it'll probably turn out it will be, as we all probably want to captain him or, whatever next week. So, yeah, there was so many teams playing. There was always going to be stuff that we missed or that we didn't take into consideration, unless you're planning for hours and hours on day, which, some of us probably have. There was always stuff we were going to miss, and it's just one of those things. There's no point in necessarily worrying about it now. We'll worry about it next season when the next 10 double game week teams are there.
Yeah, I think the Klopp situation, the Kaki situation, and Tottenham punishing us, for me, those are the three things that we just couldn't.
I was going to say, Mark, so much has come down to Everton and Liverpool in this, isn't it? Because of the nature of the fixtures, we've stacked up on those two teams there. Most of us have got 2, possibly 3 from each team. Everton haven't turned up at all. Liverpool have only played half of the game week, essentially, and they've still done pretty well out of it. I think that's probably the main reason why the bench boost situation failed. Well, not necessarily failed, but didn't do as well as it could have done. It's down to those two teams, I think. That plus Spurs just absolutely smashing it out of the blue. Well, it's just sod's law, isn't it? It's just, another game week, it could have gone totally different.
Yeah.
There's some stuff there's some stuff you just can't account for. Like Smalling was the defender to pick. Who's going to play both games? Darmian comes in, plays one game, and beats him. So you can plan all you like. There's just stuff like that you're never going to be able to account for.
Yeah, in many ways there was an FBL season just in this one game week. There's so many examples of what can go right and wrong over the course of a season, crammed into these matches. It was it was just a brilliant experience, and it was great. Everyone enjoyed it, I think. Let's look at game week 37 then, Jonty, because there's lots of questions on this, isn't there?
Well, yeah, I mean, Spencer asks a broad one about what's the plan for the next double game week. What can we take from double game week 34 into 37? Are we looking perhaps now at rotation risk, good form of single game week players? So there's lots to consider there, and so there's lots of people asking specific questions, and we'll come to each of those in a bit more detail. But what I want to mention is triple captaincy. So we mentioned that, who do we triple captaincy? And this is something a few people have mentioned, Cradders and Joey Barton and friends in particular. They are wondering, well, should we actually use a triple captaincy outside the double game week? We've already said that we think that that's the best time to use it. But then you start looking at Kane at home in game week 35, and thinking if we think this rotation's going to hit with, say, the likes of Sturridge, and that Sturridge is actually only going to play one game. So game week 37, Liverpool play Chelsea, and they also play Watford. Now you would think that the Chelsea game is going to be a stronger squad, and so perhaps Sturridge play that. So essentially what you're thinking is, do I triple captain Sturridge, basically for Chelsea, possibly he might play Watford, or do I triple captain Kane at home to West Brom? And then you start thinking about that, and it actually starts to make sense, because one thing we have learned from this double game week is it's not actually a double game week for a lot of players, especially if they're about to play a Europa League semi-final second leg, or Europa League final even.
Yeah, I mean, and also someone mentioned Sanchez in game week 38 as well, who's at home to Villa. You look at that fixture and think, well, the form Sanchez is in at the moment, if he keeps it going, game week 38 could be a massive, because Arsenal are going to want to put on a show last game of the season. Villa have got nothing to play for. Spirits are going to be low. I mean, I suppose they're fighting for pride. So yeah, that could be another scenario. You think, well, I'll save it for that. I'm not going to use it in 37. But I don't know. There are some options. We talked about it before, didn't we? Game week 37. We looked at West Ham. We think, well, they're going to be fighting for a top 4 place still. And we mentioned, I know you favouring Payet there, but his form's not great. I think he's got a goal and 2 assists in the last 5, which don't sound disastrous, but I think West Ham have scored 12 goals in those 5 games. So you think, well, he's got a goal and 2 assists out of 12 goals. It's not brilliant for a player who's meant to be at the fulcrum of everything West Ham do. That's really poor.
And Antonio's cropping up at right back, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's all over the place, and he's not necessarily getting in positions where I think he's going to score points at the moment. That's being done all over the team. But Sunderland, I think, an option. Defoe will play 2 games. He's got to play 2 games, and they've got 2 home games, and it looks like the relegation battle's going to go in. So I'm currently looking at that and thinking it's going to be Defoe probably for me. But it is a difficult one, and I think expect the unexpected is probably what game week 34 tells us, in that we were so confident and so convicted in what we were doing. We were 100% going to do the wild card, we're 100% going to do the bench boost, and now we've come out and gone, oh, we could have done that, we could have tried that could have worked better. And I think looking to game week 37, we should perhaps be a bit more open-minded, and maybe you're right, maybe it is time to look at single game week players for the Triple C, but it's difficult, isn't it? Andy, what do you think? I mean, I guess you're just going to follow the double game week template again and go for either Sunderland or West Ham?
I don't fancy. I'm probably not gonna have Andy Carroll in my team. I just don't fancy Payet, like you say. It's just I didn't get him in this wild card. He's just, I don't know, whatever's going on at West Ham, he's just not getting the points. So 2 home fixtures is nice. I just don't know if I'd feel comfortable putting the captaincy on. I'm seriously looking at doing it this week. We'll come on to that later, but I just think Kane and Aguero have both got good fixtures this week. And like you say, Sanchez in game week 38. I don't know if my double game mentality can stop me from just not doing it in 37. But I don't know who it would be on. Defoe, yes, he'll probably be in my team. I just don't know. Do I really expect him to get much? And then the only other one I'm looking at, which I haven't heard mentioned much for good reason, is Wayne Rooney. If he can get like a goal or 2 in the next couple of games, he does go on little bursts. Just before the Euros when he's trying to make sure he's in that team. Away fixtures, I know, but yeah, it's towards the end of the season. Norwich might be safe by then. So yeah, we really. But again, there's no apart from Sturridge, if he's going to play both games, there's no one I really want to captain in Game Week 37 right now.
You lot all mocked me, didn't you, when I suggested Sturridge a few weeks ago? Do I remember?
Did indeed, yeah.
Okay, just thought I'll check that.
Fair enough. I've got to give you credit for that one. Jonty, what's your thoughts on it? I mean, have you, as I said, you favoured Payet a few weeks back, but are you wavering now?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Payet not getting the armband for me on current form. No, and it's almost like my worst case scenario now. I like to play it dull, play the percentages. I'm now in a situation where I think to succeed with a triple captain in Game Week 37, you have to go for a differential. You have to go for a player that perhaps might not play twice, or a Defoe, or I mean, looking at it, I mean, perhaps Chris Smalling might be the best bet. West Ham away, maybe a clean sheet there. He's certainly going to put a shift in that game. And away to Norwich, well, that could be a clean sheet. So you could be looking at about 12, 13 points there, triple captains.
See, it's not in the realms of what Aguero and Sanchez just delivered, is it? It really is.
Nowhere near. I've got no, and this is the regret. This is the regret that I should have done what Andy did and planned and looked at actually who I would want to captain. And as Andy said, and you said as well, I mean, who do you captain? I mean, you start looking at Norwich. So I'm starting to look at Norwich players for. You said absolutely. What's it come to?
Is Wes Hoolahan going to make a comeback for it?
I mean, one thing I will think is Chelsea are terrible form at the moment. They play away to Sunderland and they play away to Liverpool. Now, Liverpool you'd think could be a strengthened side, but it could be weaker. Now, we don't know if Costa is going to be playing every game and they're going to be going a bit kind of cavalier in attack. Costa could be an option. It's nice and dull,
isn't it? Chelsea going cavalier in attack.
It is. It's nicely dull for me, going for that kind of familiar, more reliable type player. But I can't think of anyone else. I mean, maybe Firmino. I'm going to monitor Firmino's minutes. I'm going to be monitoring. He could be the one for me.
It's tough, though, isn't it? I'm looking at it now. In the high, we're all happy about. Okay, we've got big hauls and Aguero and Sanchez delivered as part of that. But when you look at it and what Andy's done, it's a stroke of genius, because you look at it now and think, yeah, all of a sudden it does look like it should have been flipped. Bench boost 37, triple C 34, and I still stand by Aguero. He'd only got 5 goals away from home up until Game Week 34, and now he's got 9. He scored 4 goals over the Game Week 34. I didn't see him doing that. I just didn't see the hat trick. I didn't even see. Well, Newcastle, I guess you think you fancied him for one there. City just weren't scoring goals away from home, so that one I think is figurable. Sanchez, though, 2 home fixtures, he was in good form. We had no hesitation about captaining him. We perhaps should have had the foresight to go, we'll triple C him there, but we'd already committed, and Luke hit it on the head. We've got to blame Liverpool and Everton for that, because they were the kind of the sirens, if you like, on the rocks, tempting us in. They were like, get Lukaku for Game Week 33. If you play your wild card, you can have him for that double game week. You can start having your Liverpool players in. They haven't got a blank in 35. They've got the 37 as well. It's perfect. How can it fail? We didn't even consider. I didn't anyway, triple C in 34. I was just hell-bent on getting Everton in, getting Liverpool in, getting those points in 33, getting prepared for 34, watching the points roll in, and then I thought, well, I'll tackle 37 later. It doesn't look that attractive. Now, in hindsight, having seen what Sanchez has done and having looked again at 37, now we know that the relegation battle's still going on and the title race is still going on. Suddenly, yeah, maybe it was the wrong decision. But that's the beauty of it. As we've already said, we've learnt a few lessons, and that may well have fallen straight into Andy's lap. It's going to be really interesting to see how his bench boost works out, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, as I said, he's done the right move, because he's already got most of his bench boost there, so he could actually start loading up on perhaps more Spurs players and put them. So he's going to have Spurs players. Game Week 37. Looking down the list, Spurs are at home to Southampton. Great fixture. Southampton pretty not as good away as they are at home. So he could be sitting there with Ali, Kane, Sanchez on his bench.
Yeah, but the fact is, 2 weeks ago we said, well, we won't want Spurs players then, because Leicester would have won the title. We know they haven't now, but we didn't know that in 33. looking at 33, when we looked at 37, we go, well, we won't want Kane and Ali at that point because Spurs won't have anything to play for, because it looked like Leicester were going to run away with it. We didn't foresee them dropping points, and we didn't foresee Spurs winning back-to-back matches necessarily. So, yeah, in hindsight, yeah, it looks like we could have made an error, but we just didn't know that back then, and we were just pushed into it. I think, not pushed into it, but it was just too strong. We thought Lukaku would get a couple of goals at Watford and reward our captaincy there. We thought that Liverpool wouldn't progress in Europe, and therefore we'd get double game weeks out of them, and we've got that 37 to come. It's just, Andy held back on that and waited for things to settle, and it has fallen for him, I think. But we'll just see what he can do with the bench boost and see how many of those players, how many double game week players he gets in. He's been making right decisions. We'll see if this is another one.
Yeah, I mean, we've mentioned one of the next set of questions really is on Liverpool. Now, they're quite key to this because we've mentioned players like Sturridge and Firmino as potential captaincy options. So Mike Harborough, King Ollie, HVT, they all ask very similar questions. Can we rely on Liverpool for that double game week because of rotation? Can we actually rely on them full stop now? Now, one of our regular posters, Trigger Lips, will be very well known to a lot of our community, has come up with a handy colour-coded look at rotation risk of Liverpool. Very interesting.
A lot of red.
And a lot of red on there. Red is not good. So we've already seen rotation risk at Everton was low. Yes, because Klopp is a football romantic and he knows the value of a derby there. Now Newcastle. Now I think he put that as high, but I think there is a small chance as well because Newcastle are in the relegation battle. Now he can't put out his kids that we've never heard of. If he does that, then the likes of Sam Allardyce will quite rightly be very annoyed.
Well, this is it. I mean, I wouldn't want to cost Big Sam for sure,
No.
and it is a factor because I think Klopp will have respect for the Premier League. I think he'll also have, and the other thing to mention is Rafa's coming back to Anfield, right? So is he gonna, if Liverpool field a weakened team against a team managed by Rafa, and Newcastle get a point or even 3 out of that because they play a second-string team, Big Sam will go crazy, won't he? I mean,
exactly.
you know that Big Sam loves Rafa. So no, it's just that I think you're right. I think he'll play a decent side in that. I said that in an article today. I think it'll be a fairly strong Liverpool team. The only thing is we can't predict it though. Even though we think it'll be stronger, we have no idea who he's going to play, do we?
Well, they've got a good squad, and we don't know which of their strong ones. I think we can assume that at least one of Sturridge and Firmino, possibly both, will play. Origi looks like he's injured. Firmino, really interesting. I'm really glad he's in my side. He seems to be subbed off every 60 minutes. Now, he's playing every game for about 60 minutes. I'll take that. And I think he wants to play him every game. And I think he can. If he can lop off 30 minutes a game off him. So he has spoken about Firmino being very central to the way they play. I think the defenders, I think definitely one of Saka and Lovren will play. Which one? Could be both. Could be both.
I think that's where he'll keep his strength. I think the back four will be his full strength.
And I think Milner will play. Coutinho is the one I think won't play because I think he'll want to save him for Europe. But then you go down the list. So then you've got Villarreal next week as well. And then just a few days later you've got Swansea away. And then you've got Villarreal again just after that. So the Swansea game's right in the middle of it. Game week 36, I think there's going to be a heavy rotation at Liverpool there. I think I agree with Trigger Lips there. And then game week 37, well, we said it before, I think Klopp is a football romantic. I think he will want to play a strong side against Chelsea. And then I think for the Watford game, another risk there. I don't know if he'll go fully with all of those kids again. I mean, that was incredible. It was just Firmino survived. Not even Mignolet survived that. But I think, in conclusion, there's going to be a hell of a lot of rotation. We can't tell. Now, I've got 3 Liverpool players. That's too much for me. I'm going to get rid of one. Yeah. I'm happy with 2. I'll take it on the chin if neither of them play, but 3 is way too much. And I think a lot of people will be thinking that. Who to keep? I've said his name for Firmino. I think he'll play, keeps getting subbed off. I think that's a little sign there. Sturridge, if you've got him, keep him. Origi's injured. That's quite handy. I think he'll come on. Milner, obviously, is the engine there. And if you've got Saka or Lovren, just keep them, but I wouldn't expect too many starts. So.
Yeah, I mean, Milner, we've got to talk about, because at the moment he seems to be. incredible in the form of his life. We talked about him on the ScoutCast as a potential double game week asset. He's just been outstanding, hasn't he? I mean, Andy, you were looking at him. You didn't get him in the end, did you?
Yeah, no, I did. Yeah, it was always the plan was always Balassi to Milner, and I did start, towards the deadline, start thinking about other stuff. But yeah, in the end, I just got him in and delivered the goods as expected. He's just seems to be an assist machine this calendar year.
So how many Liverpool have you hold at the moment? Have you got the 2 or have you gone 3?
No, I've got 3. I've got Sacco, Milner, and Coutinho. And I'm really worried about Coutinho. I think he's probably going to be benched against Newcastle. He seems to be the one that Klopp really likes, so he wants him to play in the better games. So we'll come on to it later, but yeah, I think I'll probably have to get rid of one. And I think Milner will keep starting most games. He seems to be a bit of a machine in that regards. But yeah, Coutinho is the one I'm worried about, and I'm probably going to look at getting rid this week. It's just too much to hold right now, and they could all be rotated. And obviously we'll come on to it in a bit. But Man City are another problem we've got as well. Yeah,
Luke, what about you? How many Liverpool you stopped with?
I've got Sacco and Coutinho as well. I mean, yeah, it's all been mentioned, isn't it? Big worries there. I mean, it's nice that they're giving us a worry because we do want a piece of that action because they're scoring so many goals at the moment. It would be great if they're actually in poor form and we could just not worry about this. But the fact that they're scoring like 4 goals a game makes you really want to have a piece of the action, and it's a little bit of a lottery, isn't it, as to who it comes down to. But yeah, I'd agree. Firmino and Sturridge look probably the 2 best options at the moment. So.
It was funny when the Sacco goal went in against Dortmund. There was people on the site going, "That is dreadful news for FPL," and I was thinking, yeah, it's probably not great news, but I wonder how disastrous it's going to be. But it was absolutely spot on. That was the worst outcome. I loved it. It was a fantastic game of football, and it was great when Liverpool got through. But when it happened, that has had a big impact not only on 34, but going forward. Looking at that chart that Sugar Lips has done, it has kind of spoilt what could be a great source of points, because as Luke says, they're in great form, but we just can't rely on them, can we? So I think, Jonty, you're right. Coutinho, probably their best player, probably the central to everything, is in incredible form at the moment. I don't think we can risk holding on to him, though, can we?
No, I mean, there's 5 games for Liverpool left. Have I got that right? Yeah, 30, you've got to think about it. 35, 36, 2, 37, 38. 5 games. I can't see him starting 5. I can't even see him starting 4, maybe 3 if you're lucky. Yeah. 2 is probably realistic. So you can't keep hold of him because he's not a double game week player. He's a single game week player. But as we mentioned Firmino, the other thing to mention there is that if Origi's out and he wants to preserve Sturridge as well, he can of course call on Firmino to play the false 9 position.
I'm sad to admit it, but I think that could be the case. I think it could be the case against Newcastle.
I mean, I'm lucky. I've got Firmino and Coutinho, so I've given myself a choice there. For other people who were thinking Coutinho or Firmino, I make that move. I think this Newcastle game would be a good. I mean, if Coutinho is indeed benched to this Newcastle game, we know how it's going to pan out. We know how it's going to pan out against Swansea in game week 36, game week 37 Watford, game week 38 West Brom. If they get through to the Europa final, we know how it's going to pan out. But if Coutinho starts against Newcastle, well, it's back to the drawing board.
That team sheet against Newcastle is going to be very interesting. I think the Newcastle, they can't put a too weak a team out, I don't think, and the Rafa factor's in there as well. Yeah, I mean, Big Sam's going to be just as keen as we are to see that Liverpool team sheet, I'm sure, come the weekend. Another question, Jonty.
Yeah, Chelsea. Let's go on to Chelsea. Balders, double game week guru, who was right about Liverpool being the gold standard, in fact.
Well, fool's gold standard, maybe.
Fool's gold standard. 4 of their players scored double figures, so that's gold to me. But Chelsea, Balders asked, is it worth getting Chelsea players for double game week 37? So I've done a little table, having a look over the last 4 matches, just the Chelsea players, and the stats are not impressive.
Don't tell me the answer is no. You didn't need a table to tell you that, though, did you, Jonty?
Well, it's get your scouting caps on, because over the next, from now until game week 37, keep a close eye on the Chelsea team. You want to see any bit of improvement. That's what you want. But at the moment, they haven't got it. The best, in terms of creating chances, Willian, we know, is the one there, but will he start? He's getting rotated. And then you're looking at shots on target. I mean, this is the last 4 matches.
Paul, it's just depressing.
Fabregas, Costa, Remy and Oscar, they've all only mustered 3, so they're not even mustering a shot a game on average. So So that's shots on
There's nothing
target.
there. I mean, Luke can't go back to Fabregas anyway. He can't look him in the eye these days after that penalty.
Yeah. I mean, Fabregas, is getting corners and crosses, loads of them, loads of big stats for corners and crosses. But who's getting on the end of it? These shots on target are pathetic, really.
Yeah.
Oscar, shots inside the box 10, but only 3 on target. So at least he's getting inside the box, which is more than any of the others. Costa's interesting though. He's got 6 inside the box. So at least he's mustering some kind of effort. I'm keeping an eye on him. I think other people should as well.
I think it's Loftus-Cheek as an option, maybe as a cheap double game week player. I mean, I looked at the last 5 game weeks. He's had more shots than any Chelsea player, and he's so cheap that people will go to him, I think, for game week 37. But we'd love to turn to Chelsea for a triple captain option. It's just not going to be there, I don't think. I can't see Costa getting his act together. I don't think he's got the motivation. They're all waiting for the new manager. This season's over. I don't know. I just don't see it. Another team then, from the out the frying pan into the fire. I think we've got a question on Everton, haven't we, Jonty?
Yeah. Nilo1 asks, is it worth keeping Lukaku double game week 37? So that's assuming he's going to be good. And
another one I don't think you need a table for.
Well, I mean, I've done a few little stats just to see how bad. I knew it was going to be bad, but I just want to see how bad. They've slumped to subterranean levels. So I did a comparison, game week 1 to 30, and then compared to the last 4. Big chances down by 2/3. This is like one of those adverts for like sale now on, prices must go. So big chances down 2/3. Goal attempts halved. Chances created halved. So yeah, and then Lukaku stats down as well. Goal attempts halved. Shots on target halved. Chances created down by 2/3. They're going rubbish.
Yeah, I mean, Everton are just in such trouble. I mean, and you look at they're going into that United game. I mean, Andy must be very confident about that semi-final at the weekend. They're not going to have a defence, I don't think, the way it's looking. And they're in such dreadful form. Lukaku just, I mean, Liverpool game on the other night, I watched it, and yes, they were poor, and yes, they had a man sent off. But Lukaku just offered so little. I mean, he's meant to be a top striker. He's meant to be, I would say, in the top 5 strikers in the Premier League. He's the kind of player that, okay, didn't get service, but you think by now he'd start becoming a player who doesn't need service, who can do something out of nothing. He's being mooted as a target for big clubs in the summer, figures of 40 million or whatever. He just goes for these spells where he just looks so ineffective, and yet other times he can look an absolute world beater. He's got to be the most frustrating player in the Premier League, isn't he, Luke?
You know what's going to happen, though, don't you, Mark? You know in 37 he's going to bag at least 5 goals. This is Lukaku all over. The stats may say one thing, it doesn't matter. He's going to score in that double game week, I'll tell you that now. It's ridiculous. We know it's going to happen. And the thing is with Lukaku, he started off, was it 8 million he started off at? I think it was that price. He's the 5th highest scoring player in the game. So this, we know he's in poor form at the moment. He's done really well for us overall, I think. And it will be just like him to score in that 37. I can see it, honest to God.
See, that surprises me, doesn't it? That he's the fifth highest player in the game, because you still think, well, he's had a good season, of course, he definitely has, but he's never been someone we can put in the team, in our squads, and rely on that and go, okay, every 2 or 3 matches he's going to get me some points. He still isn't that player, is he? And yet he still gets a big total at the end of the season, and we'll look at him in the summer and go, well, Lukaku, 20-goal striker, he's got to be considered, definitely. We'll forget the fact that he frustrates us so often, and this double game week, I'm going to find it hard to forgive him. Right?
He scored a lot of those points in the first 10 weeks, where Everton's fixtures were absolutely diabolical. Why no one picked him? It's just hilarious, isn't it? And I mean, the other factor to bear in mind for 37, where people will be looking at him, is I think they're playing Leicester and Sunderland, so we still don't know at this point. That could be nothing games for both of them, or they could be everything games. I think that will have a large say on whether he's going to be a good asset. But then, does that matter for Lukaku? I don't know.
Andy, do you think Lukaku's going to get a hat-trick against United at the weekend?
I hope not. I mean, most Everton fans that I've seen talking about it, they think we're going to batter them, and considering our attack, that's worrying. If they think United are going to batter them,
I don't think United are going to batter anybody. They just bore them into submission and win 1-0, don't they? Isn't that what's going to happen?
We got 2 in the last game. But yeah, Lukaku. The only reason I consider keeping him is because I know everyone assumes that he only scores against bad teams, but he has got really nice fixtures. Bournemouth at home, Norwich.
Andy. No.
I've sold him, so I'm probably not going to get him back. But I can see some merit in keeping him, but not a huge amount of merit. But they're nice enough fixtures. Like you say, they could be nothing games or all to play for games, and he might be right up for it. But
it's like that old flame with the lovely smile. Don't fall for it again. No, just don't go back there. It's going to be tough. I'd love Lukaku to be an option for game week 37 because that's what we set out to do. Game week 33, we were like, it's all about getting Everton players for 34 and 37. It's all about getting Liverpool players for 34 and 37. We spoke about them both now. They've let us down, and even looking forward to 37, it doesn't look like we can rely on them. And it is such a shame because it would have worked out so much better, and we'd be far more confident going into 37 if we could rely on Lukaku, Everton, and Liverpool players. It's tough. Any more questions, Jonty, there?
Yeah, let's go Sunderland. Let's go up north.
Yeah, that's better. That's
Sunderland. So they're in form. So let's have a look at them. So Clump asked, do Sunderland look good for the double game week 37? Yes, we've already mentioned some of them. If they're still battling for their Premier League survival, of course they are. So who's the best one? Well, we all know Defoe. No, he's got old legs now. So will he make both of the? Will he start both? I don't know. There's still a slight question. Right? You'd imagine he would. So
he's got to, hasn't he?
13 shots inside the box over the last 4. That's more like, isn't it? Yeah. Look and learn, Chelsea. And even Barini. Look at Barini go. He's flying there. Shots on target 5 there. So he's really. He's
and on pens, of course.
Well. Yeah, and on penalties as well. Yeah, good. And so over to my goals imminent table. Who's top of that? It's Barini. There he is, 15 goal attempts. His goal is imminent. He's already scored, and I think he's got some more to come. So I think there. And there was a player that I know that you like, Mark, Duncan Watmore.
Yeah.
I mean, why should people consider him?
Well, I just like his running style. They call him the road runner. He definitely is. He just looks so lively, so full of energy, no fear whatsoever. I don't know. Is he a goal scorer? He's more of a wide player, but I saw him play for England under-20s a long time ago, and I thought he looked a decent player then, a couple of seasons ago, and he came on against Norwich, transformed that end of the game, just running ragged at the end. But I don't know if he'll get in the team. Barini's playing really well as well, so I don't know how Allardyce is going to build him in. But Watmore's an option definitely as a kind of end of season differential if you really got to take a risk. But he's a forward. That's the thing in the FBL. They kind of blown it with the classification. In other games, Luke, I think he's a midfielder in Sky, is he not?
Yeah, he's a really cheap midfielder. Yeah, they have kind of, you've nailed it there. It's the fact that he's a forward, isn't it? But I mean, I'd imagine he's going to replace Kazri because he's kind of gone off the boil recently, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And he is great. I mean, he's selfish as well. That's the other good thing, where he looks good. I mean, a couple of times at the weekend, he run through. He could have squared it to Defoe to score, but he took the shot on himself, and that's good for us. I mean, I've got a feeling he'll get quite a few points before the end of the season, but I don't think many people will be able to take that risk because of the forward classification.
Jonty, I mean, Van Aanholt is the other player. I know that Andy's already got Van Aanholt and Defoe in, hasn't he? And they're the two, I think. He's got 5 goals in defence. I think he's had more goal attempts than any other defender in the league. He's got to be a good option. We're not looking at necessarily clean sheets, but Big Sam can get clean sheets when he needs them out of unexpected sources. And I wouldn't be surprised if Sunderland got a couple before the end of the season, and Van Aanholt might have another goal or 2 in him.
I'd like to see a bit of improvement actually with Van Aanholt. He did score a lot of goals, but they've changed their style of play slightly. So you look at how many shots he's actually had inside the box in the last 4. It's just 1, and he's only made 3 crosses, and he's created 4 chances, which is okay. It's okay, but Rodwell's created 4 chances as well. So his stats are not impressive. His form is not great from a fantasy point of view. So you might be putting in a shift for the team, and defensively they look a bit better. But that's costing, I think. That's another thing for people to listen to watch out for over the next few game weeks. Is we want to see some evidence that he's getting a bit more attacking. Kirchhoff is playing more in a midfield role. He could be creating 1 more chance. He could be a nice alternative there. I wouldn't categorically say Van Aanholt is a good option at the moment, but definitely one to monitor.
Right, I'm going to get him in. I think those 2 for me. And I like Sunderland. I think that they, out of Norwich, Newcastle, I think Sunderland could be the ones who make it. But it's all about Defoe as well. And I think, Triple C, Defoe's not going to deliver what Sanchez and Aguero has got us with the bench boost. But I think he at the moment looks the best option for me. Let's move on. Let's do the weekend preview. Let's look at game week 35. Now we're missing some fixtures, Jonty, aren't we? So it's a very different situation to 34 in so many ways, and it's tough. It's tough. I mean, first of all, I mean, are you prepared? Are you prepared for Gameweek 35? How many players have you got there, Jonty?
Well, I've got 10 potentially, maybe. I can take. We'll come to our moves a bit later, but I've got one transfer to bring up to, in theory, 11. But I have got 3 Liverpool players. I have got Gabriel for Arsenal. I've got Mitrovic as well. So have I really got 11?
No, the answer. No.
So potentially, I've got to ship one out. And I have considered getting rid of Payet actually. But I don't know. That scares me, the thought of that. But could pay off really. He's definitely not playing, so whoever I get in is definitely going to score more than him. Well, maybe if they play. But in terms of clean sheets, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Andy, if you've had a look at the clean sheets, where these fixtures that we've got left, do you think could be a clean sheet?
Well, there's a few there. I think Man City against Stoke. Stoke haven't been doing great right now. Company's back, although I've heard that he did play awful. But
he was dreadful, absolutely dreadful.
Yeah, I still see him getting a clean sheet though. So yeah, Man City would be my pick.
Yeah, we don't know who they're going to play. I mean, that's another team that we haven't touched on with rotation. We just don't know what that team's going to be, do we? Because they got the Madrid tie on Tuesday. You've got to presume that we're not going to see some big names. We've got to presume that De Bruyne may be rested. We hope Aguero won't fall into that trap as well. I mean, we're all presuming that he's nailed on for Gameweek 35. We've all got him, but I'm not so sure. And at the back, well, I was let down because Otamendi got benched, but I think Otamendi will come in. It depends whether he thinks Company's going to play against Madrid. After his performance, though, I'm not sure he will play him against. But what Ronaldo will do to that City defence, yeah, who knows? But yeah, Man City against Stoke, yeah, could be one in there. Jonty, have you got a clean sheet?
I think Spurs against West Brom. We've seen West Brom tonight. Spurs are better than Arsenal at the moment, and they've got better defence. So yeah, I think that's good. Luke, any clean sheets in mind?
Yeah, I think Southampton. Look, I mean, haven't been great away from home, but it's Aston Villa, so I can't see them not getting another clean sheet.
They're down though. Maybe they're down. They'll play with a bit of freedom. No, it's not going to happen, is it?
I mean, I think Coman come out saying they need to be more aggressive away from home. They need to attack a lot more, Southampton. So it could end up being a cricket score and goals all over. Who knows? But I'll go for clean sheet there. I think
this is the game. Step up Mane and Pella, isn't it? Really, they're the differentials, perhaps.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
But Southampton defence as well. Yeah, Van Dijk, obviously an option there as well. I mean, I think there's another one there. Leicester versus Swansea. You've got to go Leicester because they're the masters at winning these games 1-0. They haven't got Vardy, so this is going to be. I mean, it's going to be really interesting what Ranieri does against Swansea. But my bet is that he'll play Ulloa, and he'll try and maximise set plays. Morgan, Hoof, Ulloa, and they'll try and win the game 1-0. So Swansea's goal threat, well, it is Gylfi Sigurdsson. So if you stop him, you kind of stop Swansea, and you've got to think that Leicester will get on that, and Leicester will win that game with a clean sheet for me. So yeah, I think bizarrely there are quite a few clean sheets there. What about the Liverpool-Newcastle situation? Do you see Newcastle scoring there, Jonty?
Yeah, I do actually. Yeah, I think so. I think they've got a bit of momentum to them. I think Townsend and Mitrovic as well, even if he only gets 30 minutes. I think he'll get 30 minutes. Hopefully he'll start. But yeah, I think so, because I think Liverpool, I think they will have a slightly stronger squad, but it won't be fully strong, and also they will have another match on their mind, which is the Europa League semi-final.
Yeah.
I think there's potential there, but yeah, Fantasy Island risks. I've kind of nabbed one first in the notes that I sent everyone.
I knew you'd go in because you're a Brighton fan.
I nicked him.
Yeah.
I'm a Brighton fan, so Ulloa.
Yeah,
lots of people have been asking about him. He played for Brighton. He was fantastic at Brighton. Very sad to see him go to Leicester. Did great last season. So, why get him in? Well, he's going to replace Vardy. He's on penalties. Great. Last season, 11 goals and 3 assists. That's from 29 starts. He's actually sharper and better than last season. His shot accuracy in the minutes he's had is up. His minutes per attempt is up. And his minutes per goal is up. So in just 5 starts this season, he's earned 4 goals and 2 assists. And so ends my Ulloa eulogy.
You convinced me. I think he's a good option. He's going to be central to what they do against Swansea. I mean, I think in many ways Swansea are just the ideal opposition, because I just think that if you're going to lose Vardy for a game and you're going to have to play Ulloa, I think Swansea are a team you want to play him against, because I think I think they struggle with physicality. They're not the biggest team. I mean, I know they've got Ashley Williams, who's a rock back there, but I think at set plays, Leicester are going to fancy it with Joe in there as well. And I think he may well come out with some points. So, yeah, and on pens, like you say, good option. Andy, who's yours fancy on a risk?
So I don't have any stats to back this up. I have an inspirational post-match interview from Julian Lescott. And, yeah, I'm going for Jordan Ayew. I think the pressure's off now they've been relegated. The goals, are just going to start pouring in.
Yeah, it'll be a hat-trick now. Yeah.
Julian Lescott, by the way. I think I said Julian. But, yeah, Jordan Ayew is going to be my pick.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Brave, but you
stupid.
Never know.
I think
Ayew is a good player. I think he's got disciplinary problems on the pitch, but I think he's a good player, and he'll probably stay in the Premier League. I imagine he's certainly not going to be in the Championship with Villa. So, yeah, it could be a decent option. Luke, what have you got?
Yeah, Josh King. I've been really impressed with him over the last few games. Yeah, he's been fantastic, really. So over the last 6 games, he's got more. Well, this is before tonight's stats. So over the last 6 games, he's got more penalty area touches than any other midfielder in the league. So he had 44. So he's getting in the right areas. You know, a cheap player in midfield. He's against Chelsea. Their defence has been shocking of late. I looked at that as well, and they've only had 1 fewer big chance conceded than Aston Villa. So the defence has been all over the place. This is over the last 6 games, by the way. So yeah, I reckon he's good for points.
Yeah, no, absolutely. As for me, I think there's a few names I'm looking at. I'd like to think Loftus-Cheek will come to the fore and provide us for a Gameweek 37 option. He should start again. He's been playing that number 10 role, and yeah, he's looked the most likely for Chelsea in terms of shots recently. I actually fancy Watmore, as I've said, is an option, but because he's a forward, I don't want to go there. I'm going to go Sterling. I think he will play for City against Stoke. He's got to try and get in this England squad, isn't he? It's remarkable. I was talking about it to some friends that Sterling, a couple of years ago, looked like England's big hope. He was going to be the player that's coming to the fore, the young player who's going to carry us in attacking terms and take over from Rooney as kind of like the talisman for England's attack. May not get in the England squad for the Euros the way it's going. I mean, he hasn't got the form, and so I think he's got a point to prove. He needs to have a big end to the season, and I think because City have got those European games, I think Pellegrini will give him starts, and I think he'll get one against Stoke, and let's see what he can do. City have got to keep winning. So I'm going to go Sterling. I don't think many people are going to go and buy him. He's a big risk, but I guess that's the point. So I'll stick with him. Okay, should we talk about our plans for the game week? Jonty, we know you've got 10 players, but that's probably going to turn into 7 or 8, maybe even less. I'm in much the same boat. I've got 2 Liverpool players. I don't think Coutinho will play. I've got Mitrovic, who probably won't start because he'll go for Cisse's pace. So and I've got Martial, who I was going to get rid of. So I'll put mine out there first. I'm going to go Martial to Kane because I've got the money. I saved it. That's what I'm going to go for. That was the plan. I'll stick to that. But I'll probably have to get rid of another player, Scott Dan, who's injured and doesn't have a double game yet to come. Will probably go as well. So I'm probably going to spend 4 points. I'm going to get Kane in for Martial. And I'm probably going to make another transfer for Dan, and I'm probably going to put the armband on Kane. I'm not going to look at Aguero. I think Aguero's minutes will be cut back. He'll probably play an hour at the most, and I'm going to trust Kane. It's a bit shaky. He's let us down before, but that's what I'm going with. Andy, what's you up to? Transfers and captain?
Yeah, so I'm also going to, I think, bring Kane back in, but it's not going to be as straightforward for me. I definitely need to take a hit for it, and I haven't quite decided how to do it. I'm either going to... I was just going to do Mitrovic and Martial to Kane and Defoe, but then Kane rose yesterday, which I wasn't expecting, so I can't do that now. So I don't know. Kane will come in for Martial. I might do Coutinho to Ali, maybe get Ali straight back. And I'll probably upgrade a defender because I'm in the same boat where I've got 10, which is probably going to be 6 or 7. So I want to kind of up the odds of having 11 out. So I'm probably going to take an 8-point hit this week and bring Kane back. And I will also probably captain him just for fear of minutes, really. And I might even triple captain him. I'm very tempted. He scored 8 in the last 6. West Brom aren't great. He's on fire. And Spurs, it feels like pressure's off for them. They're not, everyone's expecting Leicester to do it. They're starting to maybe falter a little bit. I think Spurs they're just playing for fun at the moment. And
also West Brom got a run around tonight at Arsenal, I guess, as well. So they'll be tired, maybe. I mean, yeah, not a bad case. Luke, what have you got in mind?
Well, I've currently got 9 players playing if they all turned up, and I've got 2 free transfers, so potentially I could hit 11, but with Gabriel, Sacco, Mangala, Coutinho, Nasri. It's a bit of a train wreck. I don't think I'll get anywhere near that. So I don't know. Martial's definitely coming out. I'm going to keep Lukaku and just hope that the troll repays me eventually. So Martial's going to be to Defoe or Costa. I haven't decided which one yet. And Bolassi's the other one who's going to come out. I'm probably going to go with Josh King and back up my differential there and just hope he does well against Chelsea. As to who I'm going to captain, I'm going to go totally without Kane, just go against it and just hope he blanks. That's gone really well so far, so I hope that carries on. Yeah, I haven't even thought about captain, to be honest. Maybe Ozil, but he's been doing nothing recently. I might go Koscielny again for Sunderland, but we've just said they might score. I don't know. Probably go Aguero. He keeps punishing me when I don't go with him.
Well, he's top of the captain poll. I'm kind of surprised at that. I thought people would be a bit more cool. Kane is catching up. So, Jonty, what are you going to do? Is it going to be point spend again then?
Yeah, I'm going to spend points. I think. I mean, definitely from straight off, I got Mitrovic in last week because it gave me enough money to get the move that two of you are doing is Martial to Kane, and I'm going to captain him. He's, for me, the best captain choice. And then it's up to, I want Ali in as well. I'm going to get Ali back. It looks like I might be in the top 10,000 this after today, which would be great. And a lot of people own him in the top 10,000, so I need a bit to start playing it a bit differently. Going back to my dullard roots.
So start blocking, blimey.
And I need to start blocking. Also, it looks like I might be in the lead in two of my cash mini leagues as well. One of those is extraordinary because I was 200 points behind at Christmas. So I'm going to get Coutinho out for Ali, but I might get Payet out for Ali, and that all depends on whether I want to go into Gameweek 37 without Payet. So
yeah, tough one.
Ali's going to come in. Don't know who for yet.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I mean it's a very difficult situation, but I think by the sounds of it, Kane is coming back. We kind of regret that, and we're backing him for Game Week 35 against that West Brom defence. Triple C, I'll think about that. My God, I mean Andy's put that. It's Andy's turn to put an idea in my head now. I'm leaving this ScoutCast thinking maybe that's a good theory. There's so much to consider, but yeah, we're saying goodnight to Game Week 34 tonight. It's been an incredible run of matches, big scores. It was the kind of game we expected in many ways, but it was also something that we come out of it with still questions unanswered, still much to take into next season. Have we done the right thing? Are we going to regret not bench boosting in Game Week 37 and Triple C in? Yeah, it's been brilliant. I mean, Game Week 34 has been what we expected in many ways, but in so many ways as well. So many lessons to be learned, so many unanswered questions. It's been great though. We're all happy with it, and let's see what happens. Game Week 35, we're going to have 5 or 6 players each by the sounds of it. It's going to be a very interesting end to the season. We've got plenty to talk about in future ScoutCast, not least Game Week 37 and what lies ahead, and where we're going to put the Triple C. So yeah, it's been a great end to the season, hasn't it? I think it has made everything much more interesting. It's kept people playing the game, and it's kept things alive. I think that there can be no doubt about that, can there, Jonty?
No, I think it's been great, and I think we've all learned a bit, which is good. And it's really shaken up. I've got to admit, the final few games of last season, I was a bit bored. I mean, I was where I was in the rankings. No matter what I did, I kind of went up or down a tiny bit, and I was just kind of seeing the season out really. But this season, what a challenge! It's been a huge challenge, and we've seen for this, it could have gone so wrong. This game, we could have gone so right. It's gone really well. So the chips, and it's completely transformed the game. I'm really pleased with it. It's nerve-wracking, and I spent far too much of my time trying to get all the pieces of the jigsaw right. But I think it's worked out. Look forward to next season already.
Well, also 37, we're bracing ourselves to see where our ranks drop to with all those people who've saved their bench boost, and if our Triple C fails, then yeah, it could all change again. It's so volatile, and also at this stage, as is, we're looking normally at the top 50 and going, well, the winner's going to come from these 3 or 4 managers. We can't do that at the moment. It's changing so much, and there's still so many chips in that game. There's some wild cards still about as well amongst the top managers. It's so difficult to call. Suddenly, FPL, the end of the season, is a very different animal, and perhaps that is a good thing. So overall, I think it's a thumbs up for the chips. Game Week 34 is over, but we enjoyed it. Thanks so much for joining us, Andy, again, and for yourself, Luke. Jonty, thanks so much for bringing those questions. We'll be back next week to pick the bones out of Game Week 35, what's left of it, and then looking forward to Game Week 37 again, and more double Game Week joy and agony. It's a good night from me.
Good night from me.
Good night from me.
And good night.
Good night, all.